So this is session 1 of 2. Gosh, it would have been 2 of 3, but I had to bail out on last session because I'm a terrible person. But we've got 2 sessions to do this, and this is Kuro. This is a guilty pleasure for me. It is a great setting, a weird system. It is a near future Japan, sort of cyberpunk, got the sort of the early cyberpunk elements combined with J-horror. And I adore Japanese horror movies, Japanese horror fiction and comics and things like that, because they scare the willies out of me. But anyway, we're going to be playing that tonight. Essentially, these are characters in that environment. I'll talk a little bit about the history in a second. But this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, which is the online series, part of the Gauntlet, which has a Patreon and all of that jazz. As it is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, we will be using the X card as our safety tool. Jeremy, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. For those at home, it's a sign, a symbol if we hit things that are problematic in terms of tone, in terms of content, that kind of thing. This is a horror game, so we will be hitting potentially some gruesome stuff. I'll try not to bear down too hard on that, or I will. I don't know. We'll find out what our various limits are on that. And at some point I'll pull up, I did put together a strange Pinterest board for this that is a little creepy. But anyway, we're going to be playing that now. Kuro is an investigation game in the vein of Call of Cthulhu. So a couple of things about that. Generally with investigation games, one of the assumptions I make is if the group splits and people are working in parallel scenes, getting information, the assumption is all that information is shared unless you say otherwise. That way we don't have to go through the blah and all those things. We just make that as a default assumption. The other assumption that we make is that you guys know what you're doing a little bit. So if you go in a scene to look and investigate, I take usually the gumshoe approach to things, which is if you have skills related to something, I'm going to give you some information. And then if you decide you also want to go for a role, then you can go for that, in which case you might get more information, more questions to ask. I generally frame it in terms of PBTA style questions. What do you want to know? In addition to those details and things like that. So that's the basics of it. We'll hit the mechanics of the game at some point, which those of you home will not get to see because we don't have the little online dice roller that's visible. But this is a dice pool system where people roll. Well, it's not dice pool. It's you roll dice equal to your characteristic, which is like from 1 to 3, and then those can explode or be 0. And there's all kinds of little dice tricks that go with it, gimmiku, as it's called in the game, and then you add a number from your skill. That's compared to a standard difficulty. We will take a break about halfway through the session. If by the time we get to midway, if we need to take the break and I haven't hit that, somebody can say, hey, we need to do that. Feel free to bring that up. We'll play until we hit end time or until we get to a good stopping point, like a good break point. We'll stop then. I don't know whether we'll get through the entire investigation tonight or we'll have to split it. I don't know. And generally what we'll do is at the end of the second session, we'll do feedback and roses and thorns for the game. Finally, Sherry and Christo know this, Jeremy, but if I talk too fast at any point, or if my Hoosier accent interferes with you understanding what I'm saying, do not feel bad about going, I don't know what you just said, and asking me to repeat myself, because that has happened before.
Sure thing. Okay,
so Kuro 2049, Japan has been isolated by an embargo. This is for people at home. Essentially, it's the near future. There was a abrupt nuclear launch that targeted India and Japan. One of the accidental missiles hit, ended up falling over Korea, causing problems there. The Japanese missile was on its way to hit Japan and then vanished. No one knows what happened, but there were electromagnetic storms and disturbances in Japan, and it was very strange. The international community demanded to know how Japan had done this, what kind of missile shield it had in place. Japan said they didn't know. This was not taken well, and right now Japan is under an international blockade and embargo, and it's been cut off for many months from the international community. Nobody in and out. So it's had to become more self-sufficient, more isolated. At the same time, a whole bunch of political unrest in Japan, and overturning of old structures and societal forms, and a real break of the sort of class system of the elites and the lower classes splitting based on money, wealth, and technology. And at the same time, more and more strange things are happening. Weird things that people don't like to talk about. Strange incidents, mushroom people infections, vanishings in the night, hints and rumors about exorcisms, all of that kind of old mythology coming back slowly over time. Now, the assumption that we put last time when we did a couple sessions of this before, and the two characters, Sherry and Christo, are existing characters, and we're going to make this assumption for your character that's coming in as well, Jeremy, that you're all from the same neighborhood, that you are familiar with one another, the several blocks there that you have at least had passing knowledge. And I expect in the case of you and Makoto probably went to the same school, though the age difference may be a little bit there. Christo's character is a little bit older. But I'm jumping ahead. Sherry, can you tell us about Makoto?
Sure. In high school, Makoto tried to be the most normal, ordinary girl that she possibly could, because her grandmother was sort of a strange one in the neighborhood, the one who sort of did divinations and made little wards against bad spirits for people, and told, or essentially figured out what the gender of the baby to be born was going to be with, signs and omens. And the thing is Makoto super tried to be normal about it, because she kind of felt the same things that her grandmother described, but she didn't want to be a part of that. And after school, she didn't really have much to do to sink into, so she sort of became a pizza delivery person, because you got to make ends meet. For her, when this whole thing went down and the world got weird, it was like a rebirth for her. She's almost a sort of manic pixie person, because the things she can see and the things that she knows, this is exciting for her and real, and she has an expertise that people need now.
Awesome. And describe what she looks like.
Okay, so she's like 20-something, maybe a little older than she ought to be for the outfits that she wears. She always chooses things that are kawaii, so very cute, and she does herself in a sort of stylized goth makeup, and she practices being very cute like they are on TV. But she's a little strange, but she still tries to ward some of that off with being cute.
Excellent. And you have a little pizza delivery vehicle?
Yes. It's like almost one of those half trucks, a half lorry, so to speak. So there's enough room for a pizza oven and like a little pizza warmer, I guess. And
okay.
the pizzas, and you could put two people in there if they were willing to scrunch up together in front of the pizza warmer.
Is it an automated pizza maker in the back, or is it actually that you are delivering?
I am delivering.
Okay. The fine handmade Japanese tradition of pizzas.
She could reheat some breadsticks, for instance.
Okay. Fair enough. And then let's move on to Naoki. Christo, can you tell us about your character?
Naoki's a private investigator. He is pretty good with
going offline. For those of you at home, Christo is probably cursing right now. He's no Garrett, though.
So long as we can't hear chickens, we're
Right.
good.
Oh, there he is.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know how far I got before I cut off. I was just rambling away, and then I saw, oops, the connection went down again.
We heard private
you think with
investigator.
all the technology. That's it. Okay. He wears black primarily because he's hiding in shadows, and he's good at that. He is good with handguns and brawling, but especially with lockpicking and sneaking when I look at this, because that's where he has those gimmicky or whatever you call them.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. And he has a nanochip jammer and an ELO, which is an electroluminescent organic pod, which is basically a floating internet access point is the way I think of it.
Mm-hmm. And
or a little drone.
Yeah, they have, these are electroluminescent. They have these organic pods. They used to have pods that were a little bit like existence, sort of organic things that plugged into your spines. But those are illegal now for a number of reasons. But they do have a number of these sort of organic technology things like the ELO. You used to be a cop, or you just friends with cops?
That's right. I used to be a cop. I was looking. I don't think I have any backstory here for whatever reason.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's right. I used to be a cop, and so sometimes I can use it. I think to my advantage to get some information.
And so, why do you think you left the force? Was it recently or a while ago?
It was right after all this happened, if I recall.
Okay.
Because we had that bus accident with
right.
those kids, and all that other stuff started happening, and the police force was just so ineffective, and we're turning a blind eye to what was going on, and I just couldn't deal with that. I had to get out there and do something.
Fair enough.
I wonder if Naoki regrets that.
If not, then maybe now. We'll find out.
Exactly.
And then, Jeremy, why don't you tell us about Kiyosuke?
Kyosuke is he's a medical student. He's a very good student, or at least he was. Probably one of the best at his school, given these stats. But after the event happened, I think his grades probably slacked off a little bit because he'd sort of just been going through the motions, and he was good at it, and thought he'd just go to a good school and get a good job. But he's lately been sort of wondering if maybe all of that just won't matter in the near future with everything that's going on. And he does like bikes a lot, and I think I probably spend a lot of my money on fixing up an older bike that I have. And so I think lately I've been working as a courier, maybe for some shadier people, just to try to maybe figure out a little bit more about what's going on. And so I think Kyosuke's life has probably started to devolve in sort of this dual existence, where he tries to keep who he deals with outside of school from his peers and his teachers, living a double life. Yeah, well,
Is your family in Shin Ito?
yeah, I would definitely say so.
And what do they think about this turn in your personality?
I think maybe my mother has noticed that I spend a lot of time away from home and don't get enough sleep. But I try to sort of just keep what I'm doing away from them, and at least keep my grades good enough that it's not a huge concern. But there's definitely been some tension, maybe very recently, as it's become more apparent that something was up.
Siblings?
No, I think I'm an only child.
Only child.
Yeah.
Important there. So what is the weirdest thing that Kyosuke has seen?
There's this person who somehow got my contact information from I don't know where, but someone paid me a lot more money than I usually get to run a courier job for this guy, and I realized whatever was in this locked box I was supposed to deliver to this guy was moving, and I ended up, because a good part of the reason I'm doing this is maybe to sate some of my curiosity and figure out what I should be doing. I did actually pick a lock, and inside were these crickets, but they were bioluminescent, and that was very strange. And when I touched one of them, I started almost hearing voices in my head, and it was so disturbing I immediately closed this lockbox, and that was probably the weirdest thing I've seen so far. But definitely some of the people I've been visiting ever since, like this guy somehow got my contact information, have definitely had some strange things in the back of their shops. I'm maybe getting a little more curious as to what exactly all this means and what's going on.
Probably just starting to hear about the phrase occult tech,
Yeah.
and starting to know that there's some weirdness out there. Let me swing back again to Makoto. And again, my pronunciation of everything Japanese will be terrible. So, Makoto, what was the fallout from your last case?
Let's see here. I think in some ways there were two different levels of it. One was that our friend Ryumi, who was the entertainer, he kind of cut himself off from us. So it's like you can still kind of call him, he'll talk to you and be polite and everything, but it's not like he comes around when anything interesting happens anymore. But the other thing was, in that apartment building, even though it got really quiet and all the things, like the bad things that were happening stopped happening, there was sort of a lot of suicides that happened there shortly thereafter, just because in some ways almost the quiet seemed to just ease all the tension, and that's what happened after that.
And Naoki, what have you been doing to sort of make ends meet in the several weeks since that weird case that you were on that probably don't talk about too explicitly? Might be muted, Christo. Or vanished. This person might be there.
No, I'm actually here now, but I missed what you said right before that. I just switched to a different device.
For sure. What have you been doing to kind of make ends meet in the last couple weeks since that last case that was a little creepy, but you don't really like to talk about too much?
I've been drinking a lot. Going to the different sake bars and dives that have been around. But that's part of my work also, because I'm also just seeing what's happening, looking out for the criminal element and what's going on to try and be up on my information. But, the PI jobs is sort of dried up a little bit right now. So things aren't going too well. So I'm definitely looking for something more.
All right. So it's all of you have now weird hours. Pizza delivery, courier, private investigator, that kind of late night weirdness. And so we will take up with the three of you having crossed paths at a automat. Essentially, it's got big glass outside that's sort of darkened to kind of hide what time it is. You come in, lots of cafeteria tables all over the place. It's wearing at the edges. It's not been cleaned particularly well. Whatever kind of scrub bots they have can't quite keep up with it. You know that there's kind of a set of workers in an industrial kind of food processing thing behind these panels that are light up that show the different food that you can get. You can go up and tap. Food's brought out pretty quickly, and it's what, 3 in the morning, but you're getting some of that late night closing hour people rolling around, and so it's actually pretty busy in here. And so you three have seen each other, and Kyosuke or Kyosuke, how is it that you know Makoto?
I think she's probably only a few years older than me, so I think she's probably my senpai. Was a senior when I first went to high school.
Okay, okay. And Naoki, how is it that you know Kyosuke? Might be muted. Okay,
No, not muted. Thinking. So, let's see, what would be interesting? Oh, I want to say that. Did you say that you have some siblings?
No, only child.
No siblings, only child. Ah, you ruined that one. Okay, then I want to say that I took a case with your mother at one point.
Oh, interesting. So you knew the family from the neighborhood, took a case with his mother. What kind of situation? Domestic, normal, skip trace, weird?
Well, I think they usually come to me when it's something a little unusual or weird, something that other people won't take. So, and it would have had to have been something involving my special skills, so needing to get someplace unusual. So it would have to be that something, she wanted to find something that she'd heard about, some information relating to one of the gangs, I believe.
Okay. And so you know that you're curious about what Kyosuke is up to, but you know that his mom wouldn't be pleased if sort of the fact that you've been hired was revealed. Does that seem reasonable?
Correct.
Okay. So you three can find a table in amongst the sort of the swirl of people and the talking and the beeping of all of the lights. You know, the various vending images shift through. They've got a countdown on freshness. When it hits a certain point, then the price goes down, and then there's another counter for freshness. And so they've got all of that automated there. Said it's busy. You're at this that small linoleum table there that's heavily bolted down, so people can't move it. And probably chatting away, talking. And Makoto, I'm going to say that you're the first person to notice what happens.
All right.
And it's that, let's assume that you three are kind of towards the back, away from the main doors, closer to where the vending things are here at one of these tables. And so there's kind of a sea of people. And people kind of start to get pushed towards you. Like there's this kind of push of humanity, and you'll start hearing like raised voices, and the atmosphere changes from sort of, late night, blah, 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 revelry to, okay, something's going on. What do you want to do, Makoto?
Well, I'm going to grab my melon bread because close to expiring, and I'm going to stand up on my chair and look and see what's happening.
So you will kind of hop up onto this chair, look, and people are starting to push back towards you. I actually think I'm going to want you to make a roll here for me. Let's see what's appropriate. I think I'm actually going to let you do martial arts.
All right.
Plus dexterity. So roll a d6 plus 3.
That is unkind. I am going to roll the first one in the group.
Okay.
Okay, here, I'll put the other 2 below it.
Sure.
Okay, so that's the one I'm planning to roll.
Okay.
A 4, so a 0.
0. Okay, that's the magic number. So
unless I have an awesome skill for that. No, I don't.
You get up onto hop up onto that chair to do that, and as you do, the couple people come flying back, knock, and send you flying. The one thing you'll see, though, in the moment is you see come up from close to the door in the crowd, you see this blade. And it looks like one of those big cleavers that they use at the fish market to chop the big fish and stuff. And it's come up and it goes down again.
Oh, my.
But you are going to hit the ground.
All right. I would like to say, because I used martial arts, at least let me catch my melon bread again before I... Okay.
All right. You can catch your melon bread, but you're going to take 8 hits.
Wow. You are unkind.
What happens what does that look like?
Well, I think what it is I stand up, I see the blade, people push into me, and they jostle my arm. I lose the melon bread. I go to step to get it, and I step off the chair, and I just go down. Okay,
just come down, hit your knee hard on the floor, that kind of thing. But you do catch it. Naoki, the atmosphere has changed. You see Makoto go down. People are pushing back towards where you are. You're starting to hear that sort of race. Nobody wants to shout yet. Nobody's sure what's going on because the crowd's kind of dense. What do you want to do?
So, recap. So, is this a blade just hanging in the air, or is there somebody holding it?
No, she saw somebody raise a blade and it's bringing it down towards the front of the crowd.
Yeah, you saw her eyes go wide and like, oh my.
Sure, and so I expect I'm either, if there's a reflection, I'm probably looking at the reflection to see what's going on behind me without turning around.
Okay, so if you want to just kind of stand there and watch, you will see, there's one of those reflector mirrors up in the corner, and you will see this woman, and she has that enormous fish cutting cleaver, and she is covered in blood. The one thing you can see before that is that kind of luminescence of her tattoos. She has those kind of bioluminescent nano tattoos on her, and you can kind of make out that shines through the blood as well as her eyes. And she is swinging, and people are drunk and packed in together here, and knocking each other over. And so no one is kind of pushing against her. She is cutting her way through these people here. So you kind of will stop and do that, and you kind of brace yourself. What do you want to do, Kyosuke?
I think I will. Well, I recognized Makoto.
Yeah. She was sitting at the table with you. Yeah, you guys were all eating together. That sort of late night. You guys kind of know each other. Managed to get a small table together.
Well, yeah, I will. I suppose I'll run around the table and pick her up before she gets trampled.
Absolutely. If you do that, I don't think that'll be a problem. You can get her back away before these drunk people kind of fall back against, knock some more chairs over, and you can get back up against the automat thing there. Hear more shouting, and people are kind of now pushing out the 2 doors, kind of rushing out. and this woman is still swinging through the crowd. And there's probably that thing you'll see now that you've got a little more room. You'll see somebody kind of put their hand up, and she just cuts through, and you'll see fingers go flying as she brings that down. And part of the problem is there's so much blood now over there that people are slipping and falling. Makoto, what do you want to do?
I'm going to scramble for my bag, and I'm going to pull out my warding stroboscope, and I'm going to set that down on the ground and slap it to go through its essentially cycle of wards. See if that'll at least slow her down a little.
Ooh, interesting. All right, let's have you roll int plus occult tech.
Okay. Bad at all these things, but that's okay.
That's what makes it fun, Sherry.
Exactly. And mastery means I roll 5s. So it's 2 dice. Okay. So I'm going to roll the bottom 2 dice.
Okay. That's a good way to do it.
All right. And a 5 explodes, right, with mastery or something?
Let's see here. So you have mastery of that, and mastery means one of your 5s may explode, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to re-roll that one.
Okay.
So that was a 3. So it's 8 plus my occult tech, which is 6.
Okay, so
the 4 didn't count for anything.
You'll shove that through, and describe to me what that looks like. What do Naoki and Kyosuke see when you pull out this thing and roll it across the floor?
Okay, so in some ways it's like the most cheapest, flimsy, sort of like, it almost looks like a phone holder in some ways, right? So it's like a little tripod-y thing with a sort of flat, like plastic, like when the legs come out, they also have like these little, like almost the plastic shoe things on it. And when she shoves it out there and hits this sort of button that's on the ring that's at the top of the tripod, essentially this little sort of cheesy VR thing pops up. And it starts going through all these symbols and light colors and like chants. And so you can hear all these words coming out in all these different languages. It's just like a little recorded set of wards. And it flips through them.
And suddenly in the midst of all this craziness, we've got that going on. People are running. And now it's kind of hard to see what's going on there, but you've got that out there. It's hitting it. It's changing the light in here. You're hearing the voices, the comes through, over the speakers, and the VR little cyberpunk, images and things like that, and runes and little prayer electronic prayer stips come up and drop for a second. Naoki, what do you want to do?
I want to Jackie Chan this. So I want to, so everybody's abandoned their food on the tables. So everything that's on the tables that's still available, I want to start chucking at this lady to distract her. All right.
That
with the
sounds
goal
like
of hitting her in with the goal of hitting her in the eyes, if at all possible, with something hot.
Okay. So let's have you roll dexterity plus brawling.
Dexterity plus brawling. So the way this works then is 2d6 for, come on, dice roller. 2d6 for the dexterity, which is what I have, and then brawling I have a 6, so that gives me 6 dice.
No, brawling you have a 4, so you'll add +4 to it.
I just add 4 to it.
Yeah.
But I have a boost, so I get 1 extra die, so that means I get 3 dice plus
4.
Okay. And I didn't catch the name of your dice roller, so I'm using the one I've got. But if you tell me what the name is, I'll change it for the next one.
Sure.
Well, gee, I don't know if this means anything good. I forget how the system works. But I got 3 2s.
3 2s. That's fine.
And so +4, so that makes it 10.
So
enough?
what is it? What is the hot thing that you get?
well, in the best Jackie Chan style, I assume this means I managed to pick up a soup, but as I'm picking it up and throwing it, it also gets on my hand. So I'm going, oh, 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 and throwing that, and then throwing other things, and throwing like salad or anything like that. Anything, anything and everything, just rapid fire at her.
Okay, so
to keep her occupied.
Flinging that, and probably on one of those shots as these wardings are going off, you'll get essentially this thing of one of those auto heat tea like cans that you've popped open, and you'll throw that, and it seems to catch across there because people right next to her who are trying to get away are also crying because they've been hit by boiling hot liquid, and you'll see her kind of go down, and so there's this mass of people and blood, and you can't quite see where she's at right now, but you think you hit her in the face. But people are still kind of trying to get to the doors and sprawling. Kiosuke, what do you want to do?
Dang. So she's down, huh?
Yeah, it's hard to see where she is, but she's definitely there's a mass of bodies. You're not sure how many of them are alive or dead that she's under there.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to run over there, and if she is down, I'm going to start trying to give medical attention to anyone who's bleeding near her.
Absolutely. I think actually I'm going to have you roll int here.
Okay.
Plus I'll let you do surgery. That seems like a good thing to use here.
Great. All right. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and I get to re-roll the 2 expertise. Oh gosh.
That explodes.
Oh yeah. Nice. So that's 18 plus 5.
Oh yeah.
23.
So
right.
What is it that you have on hand? We're going to assume that you have some med stuff on you. What's the kind of med tech that you would have as a student practitioner that you have with you?
Oh yeah, geez. Well, I imagine I have at least a stethoscope and some bandages.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll start trying to fashion tourniquets for laptop.
Sure. What are the high tech bandages? What do they look like here that you would have?
I suppose I probably have like some automatic cauterizing bandages, things that just instantly like bond to the skin.
Okay.
Seal wounds.
Like a super glue kind of thing.
Yeah. Like as soon as I start unrolling them, like you crack them almost like a glow stick, and they're made for emergency stuff. So when they hit the skin, they sizzle. You hear that sound, and there's probably a smell that comes off of them. But you kind of grab onto some people. There are several dead people here. But there's a couple people who are bleeding quite badly. You'll get that person who had their hand cut, and you'll get that wrapped and pulled back, and kind of pull a couple people back off, and you're getting them triaged. And this woman is on the floor, basically just red with blood. There's blood everywhere. It looks like maybe there may be 3 dead people here and a bunch of others injured. You can hear the sort of siren coming of the police. There are people that have rushed outside. It's an absolute mess because now there's food and soup and everything all over the place. Great big chunks of tofu scattered across here that are kind of red with blood all over the place. Blood red noodles everywhere. Makoto, let's come back to you. You see your surgeon, medical student. He was younger in school, but to know what he's doing.
I got to look out for him. I'm his senpai. So he goes over there, I go over there too. And I look for that woman, and when I find her, I stomp on her, like whatever arm or hand that she was swinging that blade with. I stomp on that with my platform shoes and make sure it keeps held down. Okay.
You can absolutely do that. You'll do that, and it'll kind of come down with a platform shoe crunch. And you kind of keep your balance, and you'll realize that she's not moving.
Really? Oh, are her tattoos still glowing?
She doesn't have tattoos.
She had luminescent tattoos all over her.
She doesn't have tattoos.
She had tattoos.
Yeah.
Do I see any luminescent? Do I see any luminescence in the room?
Let me have you make a, what is the, where it says perform, that's actually supposed to be perception. I realized after I read the rules last time, I think. So why don't you roll me a 2d6, roll me 2d6 plus occultist.
Okay, so I'm going to re-roll the 2 bottom dice. I'm going to get 1. Thank you very much. I don't know what my occultist is. It's a boost, though. So boost says I get an extra die. Thank goodness. All right, so I'm going to roll the top one as my extra. So I get a 6 plus occultist, which is 6, which is 12.
It is really hard to see here.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, there may be something here, but the problem is you've got all these bodies on the floor. You've got blood still coming out. Everything is kind of covered with that and food, and it's a very difficult thing to do. I mean, something feels strange to you. It's like there's something out of place, but you don't know exactly where it is, and you probably kind of start to get moved out of the way. You get that sort of tingling in the back of your head that says, you know, beyond the obvious, something is out of place here. And of course, you've also got your little occult tech thing still going on behind you.
Exactly. Plus my melon bread, I haven't finished it yet, so I shove it in my pocket. And I'm like looking around for Naoki.
Okay. Naoki, where are you at? What are you doing?
I think Naoki calmly flipped a table back over, put a chair down, grabbed some ramen noodles that hadn't been disturbed and starts eating because, you know, this is just going to go bad. And he's looking at Elo and telling Elo to play it back because, of course, Elo would have gone up higher and captured the images. And so he's having Elo play back a hollow image of the lady and rotate it around so he can see the tattoos. And with his mouth full, he talks to Makoto and says, "These are what you were looking for?"
Yes. Can you see? Yeah, where'd they go?
I don't know. You're the mystic.
So we'll assume that you've got some of that stuff recorded here. It's scattershot, but there is that thing where anybody here who isn't injured is kind of moved out, except maybe you three, and you're still performing triage, Kyosuke, when the cops arrive. And you will see a couple of the officers from the booth down the way. The booth actually moves, rolls down here, the little police booth station, rolls up and then rolls and attaches itself to the front door. And then there's this scanning line that comes out and scans the scene for, you know, hostile activity before the doors open and the officers actually come out with stun batons. And
before, sorry, go on.
Yeah,
never mind.
No, go on.
Just point of order. So theoretically, the ward thing might be something that we don't want visible, right?
It's a little unusual. They might wonder what's with that.
It winds down after 2 minutes. It's like the cheapest darn thing in the whole world.
Okay. It ends with an advert, probably.
Exactly.
Thank you for using this occult tech freeware. If you'd like the full service, so it will. Okay. And they come and they move and you know, they probably have a recording drone that comes up and is reading the scene, and one of them come over and comes to you, Kyosuke. Is, who are you? Who are you? ID.
Yeah, I'll put my hands up and reach in my pocket and tentatively hand him my ID.
Okay, they'll do the quick scan on that, and they'll hand that back to you, and um, uh, they can see you've got essentially a base level med clearance, so they won't object to that. But they'll come over to where you are, standing on this woman's arm, and ID.
I hold up my pizza delivery ID, and I say, and I kind of point at that woman, and I go, she was the one chopping everyone up. I think you need her ID. And I'll step off of her hand.
Okay. And they start doing that where they come over to where she's at. There's probably at least one moment where they slip in all the blood and go down. And there's that. But they will check her for a pulse, and it's pretty clear she's dead.
Freshly dead or a long time dead?
You don't know.
She's just mostly dead.
Is she gray? Is she?
Well, she's mostly covered in blood. Is the thing is her clothing is soaked in blood. It's kind of fashionable clothing, like youth culture kind of pop stuff. It's nothing made for mass murder. Certainly not tailored that way.
It's also probably nothing that we would expect somebody with a fishing knife to have.
Yeah, no, that's a kind of unusual thing. It's a pretty heavy weapon. They'll come over to where you're at. Okay, ID.
And with like noodles sticking out of my mouth, I'll pull out my PI ID and show it to them.
And that makes them frown when they see a PI in here. They'll scan that. They see the little red lights pop up on their thing. They'll hand it back to you. Don't go anywhere.
I won't. I'm not done yet.
And they'll walk back probably within another minute or two. An actual sort of on-call emergency nurse will arrive to assist you, Kyosuke. Anybody who's in here, they kind of keep on site. It's you three plus maybe one or two other people that just hid in the corner. There are probably some police outside, taking statements. And then after a little bit, the police box will move aside, and you'll see this frumpy, trench-coated woman who looks just super tired. Just like nothing has gone right for her, and she's really not happy. And she walks in, and she looks around at all of this carnage, and she looks up and she sees you, Naoki. And this is Detective Matsuhide. You did not get along with her particularly well on the force.
Okay, so I'm sure with my chopsticks, I'll wave to her as I'm sitting cross-legged on the table and say, "Detective, so good to see you. I take it this is not the first one this evening."
She will step around and she says something to the cops. You two are up there with him. Keep an eye on that jackass. She points to Naoki.
Watch out for the blood. It's very slick.
Looks at you.
You should try some of this ramen. It's very good. It's not quite expired.
She will point to you two. Now that they're getting people to say, you two take a seat at those tables over there.
And get some of the food before it expires.
She's like, can I jump out to my Lori? I need to radio in that I'm off duty. I mean, the orders are probably rolling in. It's, the job.
This gives her an opportunity to be unpleasant.
Okay.
So she'll say, you can call them when we're done here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up and try to sidestep as indiscriminately as possible towards one of the vending machines to get something to eat before I sit down.
Okay. Yeah, you can easily do that. Do the swipe. There's enough. There's one going to that little bit of a countdown.
Look, we got all this stuff that's going, like, just out of fresh, that the price is going down as we're standing. We're the only ones here that can get these great prices.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like triggered with demand management also. So since nobody else is in this place, the price is probably going down to draw people in.
Right. Yeah. They're shutting down certain ones. They're clearance pricing certain things.
Stuffing my pockets with more mellow bread.
Yeah.
And Detective Matsuhide will stop and get your statement. He'll start with you, Kyosuke. Is there anything that you really want to make clear to her in your statement, or leave out of your statement? What do you want to say?
I will not mention the glowing tattoos. I think I probably found them vaguely familiar, maybe after the strange crickets I encountered and some of the other things I've seen.
Yeah, something weird there, definitely.
Yes.
She'll take that. She notes that. She gets your particulars. Notes that. She doesn't let you guys go. She's clearly going to let everybody go at once. She wants to be cautious here. You have the sense that she's not entirely surprised by this killing. That this is not an unusual, or rather not a one of a kind occurrence. She'll come over to you, Makoto, and she'll get your statement.
Mm-hmm.
What do you leave out, leave in?
Let's see here. I mentioned that I stood up on my chair because I saw there was some sort of disturbance, and then I fell. But before I fell, there was some kind of weird glow over there, and that she was just swinging the blade over and over again. It wasn't like she was targeting anyone in particular, but she was targeting people.
Okay. She'll make note of that, and she'll end the sort of the rounds here where she'll bring a chair, she'll flip it around backwards, and she'll sit down across from you, Naoki.
And so Naoki's still stuffing ramen into his mouth. And it's like, good to see you. So this isn't the first one, is it?
So what's your statement, Naoki? What did you see?
I'll save us all a lot of time. And, he'll like pull up an image of Elo and do the swipe motion to send it to her telephone.
Okay.
So to send the recording. We're in the back. So what's up with the tattoos?
Why don't you make a, let's see, a charisma plus law enforcement roll?
Okay. Don't want to try and fast talk her?
Oh, you can fast talk if you want. I'll give you that.
No, it wasn't flowing, so no. I'll go with the contacts. Okay, so you said charisma, which is probably a 2, because isn't everything gonna have a 2? Yeah.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, I know. I'm nice and easy.
Yes.
And then law enforcement's also, it's a 3, so I get a +3, but I don't have any boosts, so this is kind of not going to be too helpful. We'll see how this goes. Okay. And it's thinking for some reason. Come on. Oh, man. I should just roll. Oh, no, that worked. That was a 10.
Okay.
And wait, plus law enforcement, so it's 13.
So is that the 6 and the 4?
Yes.
Okay, so the 4 is a 0, but the 6 explodes.
Oh, that's right.
Welcome to wacky world.
Yeah. Okay, so the 6 explodes, so I get a roll. I'll roll the other die.
Okay.
And I got a 2.
So
that makes it an 11 then, right?
Okay. So she's clearly not all that interested in telling you too much, but you'll kind of do that back and forth. And This is clearly the first of these killings tonight, but she leaves enough hints that make you suspect that there have been some other killings not unlike this, though she's not clear about what the details are of that. And she will say, "What do you mean about the tattoos? What tattoos?"
Don't you see them? And I'll replay the image from the ELO.
She will look at that, and clearly she hasn't seen this kind of thing before.
Detective, you really need to get out more. There is a lot of strange shit happening out here. And I can help you with that. I really can. Why don't you tell me about the other ones, and I'll do some quiet investigation on the side.
She stands up, and she goes, "Don't leave town."
I would never leave the town that you are in. I live for every time I see you. You brighten every day.
She looks over at the guy holding the stun baton, clearly considers it for a moment, but then goes to walk away, probably as the crime scene unit is doing their final sort of camera work shots, and the CSU people are probably now getting the corpses onto carriers and moving things, and clearly she kind of does that gesture where you three plus the other two are here are dismissed. What do you want to do, Kioske, after that?
Well, first, as we're watching her go out, I'll look at the expiration date on my one melon bread and just stealthily swap it for one of the mountain of melon bread that Kuro has.
Yeah. Freshness, the ones with the extra flavor packets inside and stuff.
And I will try to take maybe some sort of little sauce container or something, and I'm gonna wipe it out as best I can, and I'm gonna try to just collect some of the blood off the floor in it.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. How about let's have you roll perception plus your biology.
Okay. So 2.
You get accuracy, so you get +4 if you succeed.
Cool. Oof, so it's a 3 plus biology. So that's just an 8.
Okay, so you'll get some samples. You won't get anything that you can determine right now based on that, but you get over by her, get some samples. You can see as they move the woman's, the killer, essentially, they get the weapon out of her hand, because by now the blood's gotten gummy as they pull it out of there. And you can definitely see, you can confirm you don't see, under the red, any tattoos. You do see some scars on her, but you don't see any tattoos. And they will load her up into the van, and they will move off. They will have you guys get out of the automat, and there is a team of cleaners who are there, just standing around waiting. I
asked to borrow a cloth for my shoes.
Yeah, they'll hand you out. They've got some sanitary wipes and things like that. They've got some stuff that's essentially chemical stuff to take care of blood. Essentially, they get these hoses out and they begin to spray hose down the inside of that place.
I'll ask them before one of them goes in and go, "Have you guys seen something like this before? This is crazy."
Yeah. Actually, a couple days ago, we had another person go amok. down off Central. And
Seriously?
oh yeah, woman went crazy, went with a knife, put two guys in the hospital, cut the throat of a third.
Oh. Well, this is a little worse than that, but that still sounds pretty awful. Off of Central.
Yeah. She said it was at least it wasn't with a bunch of people in it. That was just an isolated thing. And then they found her there. I haven't heard back how she died. Like she must have killed herself with poison or something because she hadn't like stabbed herself or anything.
That's what happened with this woman. She just dropped afterwards. So odd. Where was that?
And give you the address.
Okay. What kind of place is it, Lowell? Do we know?
That actually is a collectible card gallery.
Oh my. This is the future.
And so we'll assume that you three can kind of we'll cut to that scene where it's 4 a.m. The streets are kind of empty. It's a little bit of that light rain. They're loading people up into these things. They're moving away, and the three of you are there, kind of on the street, with some ill-gotten food gains, and you guys can chat amongst yourselves. This seems like a good place to take a 5-minute break, though. So let's take a break, and then we'll figure out where you can reconvene.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Oh, you're muted.
I didn't realize your little avatar was anime Adventure Time. That's really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, had that there forever. I haven't changed anything about this account in ages.
So you pronounced the Japanese name correctly, which is...
Yeah.
I'm going to apologize again.
I used to know
I'm so bad
I used to know quite a bit of Japanese. But
my niece does, and so she knows not to. I do the thing, of course, that all Americans do, and put the emphasis on the syllables in different ways. When
yeah.
Mhm. A fault of mine. Right.
So I'm actually back. You just can't see me.
Oh, very nice. I'll wait till Sherry gets... Okay. Got my tea steeping. So if we assume, for the purposes of an RPG, that the three of you would stop to talk and discuss things, where would you, at 4 a.m, where do we think the camera comes in on sort of past the commercial break of the three of you together? Where are you at?
I propose that we are slowly cruising past the big pier where they do all the fish cleaning, essentially like wherever one of those big knives would come from.
Sure.
Just to kind of get a sense of like how close that is to that card collecting gallery. So we're going to have to figure out if this thing is contagious and by how.
Yeah. So probably it's a couple of districts over to that. The other thing is that shops, marketplaces, that get fish, any place with a kind of butchery place might also have one of those.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe we wouldn't be doing that if that's a standard thing. I thought it was like just a big thing for doing lots of fish.
No, it's a big cleaver for doing big things and stuff, and so it would be used in more than just the fish market.
Okay, my apologies then.
No, but yeah, you guys can be around, kind of rolling along, talking about that. As you go past, it's in the same district. Where there's this little card collection shop. You can see they've got the police tape marked outside. There's a drone bot out in front of it. Classic sort of crumbling cheap Crete building. And it's hard to tell what's going on there. So what kind of, are you guys sitting in a park then talking? Or you at essentially a little, all night cafe or something else?
Yeah, maybe we can go get some coffee somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, very cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
With the embargo, is there still coffee here, or is it like fake coffee?
Question.
Oh, it is krill-based coffee. Essentially, it's chemically treated, that kind of thing, to do coffee-like substance.
They don't call it coffee; they call it Starbucks.
Yeah, you can get some Starbucks.
It's just really, really burned.
Yeah. They probably have tea in terms of like matcha powder and that kind of thing. But the coffee is kind of, it's brown water, but with probably lots of artificial sweetener and foam.
You make this all so appetizing, Lowell.
Delicious.
Yeah, I'll want to take my own bike, probably wherever we're going.
Okay. Oh yeah. So is it a vintage bike? Is it a newer bike? How do you picture that?
It's not super vintage. It's probably not like old enough to be a classic. It's just old enough to be old. And it's kind of beat up. I put like some work under the hood, but it still looks like a piece of junk.
Okay.
Got some rust spots.
So I kind of picture then we've got Makoto driving the pizza truck along with Naoki once again in the shotgun with the motorbike driving along.
Is it a shotgun or is it in back?
There's a second seat in there, I think we established last time, so you didn't have to sit back with the pizzas.
Yeah, it was one of us had to sit back with the pizzas, but not this time.
So you guys can talk. You had a question about the scars, right?
Yes. What sort of scars did they look like?
I think actually I want, since Jeremy, let me have you make a perception plus surgery roll.
All right. Sure thing. So that is 8 plus 5, 13. Oh, I get to re-roll the 2. That's right.
And while he's doing that, can I send the images of the tattoos to Sherry's, whatever smart device Sherry has? So sorry.
Yes.
Oh, not Sherry's, but so that she can analyze them.
Sure.
Right, Makoto.
So it was 13.
13. So they're very strange. Have you seen when people get white ink tattoos?
Mm-hmm.
How that almost looks like there's a raised line, like a scar kind of thing. So you've got this thin sort of network. It sort of looks like that. It was hard to make out as you were looking at it, but it looked more like something had happened to the skin rather than it being a scar. But you'd have to get some time to really examine it to figure out exactly what that is.
All right. Yeah, I will tell Naoki. I don't know if you can manage it, but it'd be probably be advantageous if we could get a look at that woman's body.
You like dead bodies?
No. This one is very strange. She had some scarring. Did you notice?
There's more than scarring on that lady. That was weird. But yeah, we can probably do that.
It was almost like, I don't know. It was very strange. It didn't seem like she'd been injured from the outside. There were definitely strange markings on her body.
But those markings don't align with the tattoos, do they?
The problem is what you've got in the shots, and this is the thing that you will note in the sort of the video that you have of her, is the tattoos are changing as in the video they're moving. She clearly has those subdermal nano tattoos that you can change. You can have move or change colors and things like that. And so the luminescence and stuff is shifting even as you're watching it in the video.
Excuse me, sir. She clearly has nano tattoos. Or does she clearly have those? If we look at it, does it look like it's something under her skin that's moving?
That's an interesting question. I'm going to say that you have the footage there and so on. It looks like nano tattoos to you. Like
Okay.
It certainly behaves that way. It certainly has that appearance.
And then is there any kind of like design to it, or is it just a blob of light, or what do we see?
So this is a tough roll because the footage is sort of scattershot. But I'm going to let you roll with your int plus your occult. You're muted.
That's okay. I was working through dice maths.
Okay.
I said I'm rolling all 3 dice. So I end up with 11 plus 6 is 15.
It shifts a couple of times during the swirl, and you maybe get, again, this is maybe 15, 20 seconds worth of footage in the sprawl of this. It moves, and it's almost like it coalesces into like a sign, and it definitely looks to you like an occult set of sigils, like a pattern, maybe even a mandala kind of thing. It's hard to tell from the angle, and then shifts again back to being, like just a more of a kind of radiant moving pattern. But yeah, at least once in the footage you have there, you can pick up something that you can see is at least the incomplete portion of some kind of mystical symbol.
I would like to do a reverse image search.
With a partial image, huh?
That's what they usually are.
Okay. Well, let me check in with the other two, and then let me come back to you on that. How's that sound?
That's okay. I only have the minimum plan, so I'm expecting it to take a little while.
Okay. What do you want to do, Naoki?
I want to take the footage I've got and do an image search on the woman through social media and try and, since we're in the future, short future, and I'm assuming that there are cameras everywhere, and a lot of them will be like earth cams and this, that, and the other, so they're open or whatnot. And social media, probably everybody's taking, pictures of, I'm walking home right now, and I've got this new bag, and so there might be a picture, an image. I'm going to ask Elo to piece together the path of this lady to see where she was previously.
Ah, interesting. So rather than identifying her, you want to try and get the immediate path leading up to this.
Well, actually, I'd want both. But
okay,
and I figure identifying her is probably the easier one, and tracing her back path would probably be harder unless she's got an open account.
So let's have you roll intelligence plus investigation.
Okay, so that's going to be 2.
Okay.
I guess all of my skills are 2, so all my stats. And investigation is roll down. It's a 2. It's got a base thing. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll assuming that the ELO is allowing you to do this quickly and effectively.
Of course it is. It's a very smart ELO. I am not sure what actually rolled. Did it change for you?
I wasn't.
Did I get double ones? I think I got double ones.
I don't see double ones.
Really?
Yeah, it says last roll was 2, so I think so.
Okay, let me try it again.
Weird.
That one worked. Okay, that one came up with a 4, a 6, and then plus 2, so 12.
Okay. So your baseline question is, who is this woman? So let's start with that one. How does that sound?
Sure.
Okay. Her name is Kukiko Kiyohide.
Kukiko Kiyohide? Okay. I'm going to have to write this one down.
And so, yeah, she's on social media. You can do a face recognition and get that on her. A 17-something young woman, just out of high school, and you get all of the kind of the basic pictures of her doing this in front of the camera, and all of that sort of stuff. Her little, micro blog and things like that, and all of those things. And I will say that you can see that in those photos, she definitely has subdermal tattoos. So that's the base question. I'm going to let you, with your role, ask a follow-up question. What's your other question here?
Where was the last place she stopped?
The last place she stopped. You can trace it back to essentially there is a neighborhood grocery store, and that her father owns, and you can get footage of her coming out of that with this fish cleaver.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
And then street, you get some more sort of foot shot, of maybe another person on their phone seeing this woman with this cleaver. And then there's some automated footage, from inside, from people who've uploaded their, hey, we were at where there was an attack, this crazy woman kind of thing. And you get some of that.
In any of that, did we see her when she came in? Was she actually going after anybody in particular?
I don't think it looks like that. I'll give you this answer. Is it looks like she walks in and she just starts swinging. Kind of wanders in behind a couple of drunk people and brings it up and just starts cutting. And the first couple people are drunk, so they maybe don't realize what's happening. So she gets 3 or 4 good swacks in before people start reacting.
Sure.
What about you, then, Kyosuke? What do you want to do?
I don't know if there's much I can do with this blood, probably because none of it's hers, I assume, anyway. Or is it? Did I get any of her blood? She wasn't really injured, though, was she?
She had a lot of blood on her and stuff. You could certainly run a check on it.
Yeah. Do I have anything to do that with on me?
I don't know. You're a student. It seems to me like if you could probably get access to like a university lab, right?
I suppose. Yeah. We'd have to leave though.
Yeah. Oh well. Do you have any kind of like hand scanner thing?
Not on my character sheet, but maybe.
You have smart shoes.
This is the point at which you go, well, of course I do.
Yeah.
So let's assume you have like your standard like diagnostic pen.
All right. Sure.
Right, one of those light-based ones that can do blood readings and things like that. You can use that to run the blood, upload it to the university server, use its processing power, and do something with that. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah. Sounds great.
Probably takes a bit longer than it does for Naoki with his ELO stuff, but you can do it.
All right.
Let's have you roll biology then.
Okay. Ooh. 4 is 0. So that is a... Oh, but I can re-roll the 4. Or no, biology. Sorry, biology is accuracy. Yeah. So accuracy. That is a 15 plus 4 for accuracy.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely nanoparticle detritus in this blood that's sprayed out here. Like there was a nano substance that passed through it, because those tend to disrupt things and leave behind traces, because colonies, parts of them will fall off and stuff. So it's like some kind of nano substance passed through the blood that was on the floor.
Can I tell if it's doing anything unusual?
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say is you can probably see, some of the luminescence in the nanoparticle. So it does look like it's part of the nano tattoo, and it shouldn't be present in that blood. It's not her blood. It's just blood on the floor, and it shouldn't bleed out like that. So you're not sure what is going on with it.
Yeah, I will definitely make sure I don't get any of that on me, and I'll tell these guys.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll tell these guys there might be some sort of outbreak. Maybe we should find out who gave this girl a tattoo. Something strange about these nanoparticles.
Yeah, I hope we aren't doing another countdown, Naoki.
I know. I don't have enough sake for this. I haven't had enough to drink tonight to deal with this.
What are you two talking about?
Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
It's okay. There were no nanoparticles involved.
Okay. What about crickets? Were there any crickets?
Crickets?
Never mind.
What?
It's nothing.
Okay. No, it had to do with mushrooms. So there.
That makes you feel better, doesn't it?
Just I gave him a headache right back.
So let me
I was going to say, Noki will put a hand on your shoulder and say, it will be okay. Don't worry. Stick with us. We know what we're doing.
Okay.
I'm not. Like, I don't look convinced, but I'm...
Well, no, but Naoki, like behind him, is like gesturing to you, make him look, make it look of confidence, make him feel that this is going to work out.
Sell it.
Exactly, sell it. He's so young; he has to believe in something, right? That's all being conveyed.
All right. Yes, we got this under control. We can do this. Let me check my results.
All right. So let's have you roll. Let's do occultist again. I think that's the thing that makes sense here with intelligence. You're muted.
It doesn't matter. I'm just doing boring. Oh, I'm going to roll 3 dice and hope there's no. All right. So I got 11 plus 6, which is 17.
And your 6 explodes?
Yay for me. So essentially it's 13 plus 6, which is 19.
19. It will take a bit to find because this is incomplete. And it actually looks to you like this is not just a simple symbol, like it's a spell.
Oh.
And like a sign, like a kind of a thing that you put down, and it looks like, as far as you can tell, like it's a spell for summoning a Yori, a hungry ghost.
So the blood would be to feed it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's definitely, and it's carefully crafted. This thing. It's certainly not something you would just kind of find in a book.
Can I roll to see what I know about hungry ghosts? I have mythology.
Sure. Go ahead and roll for me. That'll be with intelligence.
Nice.
And Naoki's like, what's to understand? She was hungry. She came into a food shop.
All right. So 13.
Just generally, a hungry ghost is not a ghost that simply haunts someone. It's a ghost that has kind of been broken, kind of gone mad, that it needs to feed. A lot of ghosts simply haunt in mythology and disturb people and drive them to madness. That's sort of the classic thing of ghosts. Hungry ghosts are actually somewhere between a ghost and a vampire in this, that need to feed. They're dangerous and malevolent. And I'll give you a follow-up question.
Have I ever heard any myths or stories about someone making or summoning hungry ghosts intentionally?
They're intentionally summoning them seems like a bad idea. Exorcists work to throw them out, the shamans and things like that. The only reason you would call one would be to call one to a place legitimate to get it manifested so you could do something to it, so you could drive it out. But summoning like this, no. Not in any of the stories that you've read. Naoki, what's your next step?
I think I need something stronger to drink. And
Then a Starbucks?
Yeah, so unless I think we need to go to the store where the girl was and see if her family is okay. The grocery store. And maybe they know where she got the tattoo. And if she lived there, there might be a diary, or we might be able to access her social media.
All right. That seems like a reasonable step. Shall we cut to there? Do all three of you want to go? Do you want to split up? How do you want to do this?
We could split up maybe, because I know that the student wants to go to the morgue.
Yeah.
I don't particularly want to go to the morgue, but I'm sure that Naoki has contacts in the morgue and so might be able to get him in.
Yeah. So you want to try and get him in without being present?
Yeah, because there's probably somebody there that I know, and it's night shift, and they're probably bored, and so I'll play that up and said I've got a medical student that really wants to come in and see this body because he heard it was unusual.
How about this? We'll do it. We'll set a success rate for being able to do it without having to go, and a lesser one for you can do it, but you have to go. How does that sound?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so let's say an 8, you have to go. 12, you can go. You can just send him on. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
And I'll even let you use fast talk with that.
I was going to say, I think that's what this is. Okay, so is that going to be charisma?
Well, all of your things are 2d6, so yes.
I know it doesn't matter. Just for fictional position, I'm going to say it's charisma.
Absolutely. So. Fictional positioning.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
It's only the best.
It's only the best for us. And fast talk, which doesn't give me anything extra, which is disappointing. But okay, that means it'll be interesting. Come on, reroll. And it keeps giving me the telling me this is what you do if you push this button. Come on. Do I have to shake it? There we go. I have to shake it. I got a 5 and a 3 plus my fast talk of a 4, so that makes it a 12.
That's a 12. Perfect. So who is it that you talk to there?
I don't have a Japanese. Well, it doesn't have to be a Japanese name, does it? Let's say it is Sarah Walker.
Okay.
And she got stuck here after the bomb went off. Well, she was over here for a medical conference, and she got stuck here after the embargo went up. So she's in general sort of lonely, and she's got the night shift, so she's in a miserable state. So Naoki's going to strike it up with her and convince her that this is a bright, stunning student that has a lot of interesting things, and he wants to learn from her because he knows that she was big enough, important enough to come to this medical conference. And, he's also really bright, so he might have some new ideas based on the technology that he has available. Blah, 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 blah.
Sure, absolutely. She's an expat who they are not treated particularly well here now, given the embargo and stuff. So she keeps her head down. You've crossed paths with her before. And so she's like, sure. She says in not the greatest Japanese. So if you can imagine that you probably have to listen really close when she talks. But yeah, she will agree to do that. Should we do that scene first, or should we do the market scene first?
Up to you, I guess. Why don't we do that? I'm thinking that one first, and then because I'm thinking if anything interesting comes up, the message could come to us in an inopportune time when the market shop.
Okay. So it's early morning, and the morgue there is real kind of industrial government, concrete and metal and cold. And it's summer, so it's sort of warm and hot out. So even as you approach, you can hear like all of those air conditioning units that they're trying to keep in repair going, full bore when you arrive. And it's a sticky place just in general, and it has that sign of decay, like things aren't quite as clean as they should be. You'd expect the sort of the clinical hallways, the white and the blue and stuff to be clean, but there's grime at the edges of things. Stuff is starting to break down. And you buzz into this big hallway. Corridor goes on, and there's this American woman, her hair kind of cut short. She's dressed clearly pretty masculine to kind of try and maybe blend in a little bit. And she will say, "You're Kiyosuke?"
Yes. Walker Sensei, I presume.
Yes. You will come with me to see this, but touching no?
Oh, of course not. Of course not. No.
And big empty hallways. That's, that sort of medical blue sort of clack of your sounds. Nobody else here. Just that sort of hum of the air conditioner, the sound of the lights up above, and she'll move you past. You've had enough time to have a sense of how these places work, right?
Oh, yes.
So you will, when you go past some of these places, Kyosuke, it definitely looks to you like there are definitely more bodies here. And have been here for a while. Like they're still trying to process bodies and ID things. Then this place kind of has a capacity. It's like, it's not freakish, it's not unusual, but it does confirm what you've been feeling, that there's something generally going weird in the city. Like that, just that little uptick, a couple more bodies every week, a couple more unidentified, a couple more unclaimed, that kind of thing. And she will bring you in to the slab. They've got the young woman on the table. They've got scrubbing microbots have gone through and have essentially stripped away the blood and the outer dermis and have processed that. And they've got not exactly a CAT scanner, but something like that they're using to run for toxins and all of that. And it's all very automated. Like they've got the woman on the slab, and essentially they're just doing 3D scans and recordings and things like that. And while that's running, Walker-san goes and sits and is flipping through her pad. So what do you want to do?
So her the outer layer of her skin has already been stripped off by these.
Yeah, well, what it does is the most external layer, essentially the top skin particles have been removed for forensic analysis, and the blood has been cleaned off. So she's perfectly clean now. Not like scalded, but essentially the basic forensic things. And right now the machine is just kind of running and building up scan stuff.
All right. Can I see the scar lines? Just
Absolutely. Let me have you make an intelligence plus surgery roll.
surgery. Roll that one. Nice. So that is a 17.
So you can see some of those patterns that Makoto showed to you. In particular, on her back, you can see that thing there is sort of outlined with that, and it looks to you like the scars there that you're seeing are kind of ruptured blood vessels and skin tissue, like maybe that nano colony, like the tattoo, tore itself out of her skin there. I mean, that's the kind of damage when you kind of do your checking. It has that same sort of disruption that you would expect. Like if something inside forced its way out.
I'd like to ask the doctor if she's ever seen anything like this.
And she's kind of well, and she'll say, "Yeah, we had another one of these, another one of these ritual scarification people. I think it's some sort of cult thing, right?"
I've never heard of such a thing. Not here.
She kind of goes over and she'll look and she'll pull up some stuff and she goes, "Oh yeah. It's some kind of it must be some kind of like cult doing cutting, some kind of thing. It's got some mystical occult symbols. The other three that died all had it."
All right.
Got a crazy doomsday cult, probably.
Oh, that's very strange. Do you know if the others were from the same area of the city as this one?
She goes, and she does that thing where she kind of realizes that maybe she shouldn't be saying too much more. Let me have you make a charisma plus empathy roll here.
All right. Oof. So that is a 9.
She's like, you'd have to talk to Detective Matsuhide.
I see.
I know there's some. going on in that area, but I really sorry. And she kind of turns off the screen. This is I can't afford to risk my job, kind of thing.
Well, Doctor, appreciate your help.
I don't know who's doing this to these young women, brainwashing them like this, but
yes. Well, to me, these scars do look a little strange. I'm not sure. It seems like something cut her from the inside. Isn't that seems like a very strange pattern. Not sure what could do this, but...
And she kind of looks, and you see her go over, and she does kind of look at the data. You have the sense that she just kind of runs the machines and does the basic checks and things like that. And so she does clearly note the anomaly that you mentioned there. And you will see her go, well, you should probably go.
Of course. Doctor, if you could just be careful. It seems that wound is a little unhealthy looking, and perhaps whatever they're using to do this ritualistic scarification, it could be... there might be an infection they're spreading amongst themselves.
We take standard pathogen protocols.
Of course. Well, thank you very much. Walker-sensei.
Nod. She'll walk you out.
Yeah. Well, I'll call these guys at the soonest opportunity and tell them that it does definitely seem like something spreading. And tell them that the doctor didn't want to, well, she was reluctant to talk, but it did seem there was some sort of connection between the victims.
And we'll cut to Makoto and Naoki arriving early morning at the Kiyohide grocery mart, the same one that you noted in the video. It is clearly open, but you have that sense that Detective Matsuhide has already been here to deliver the bad news. Because when you two go in, it's certainly quiet in here except for maybe the distant sound of someone sobbing. And there's an older gentleman behind the counter who was just kind of standing there, ashen-faced by the register. What do you two do?
I look at Naoki.
And Naoki looks at you and like, go for it, go for it.
I think I'll go up to him and I'll say, oh, Mr. Kiyohide, I'm very sorry for your loss. And she sort of
takes him a second to kind of focus in and kind of see that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know my daughter?
It's just only very slightly. And she sort of stops and says, it doesn't seem like her. When last I met her, this didn't seem the sort of thing that would happen.
No, I don't know if there was something going on. She never said. I mean, we gave her what she wanted. We let her do what maybe that was the problem.
She goes, she sort of looks up and goes, no, I think there must have been someone pushing on her. That would only be the thing that makes sense.
So trying to kind of build a rapport so you can pull some
exactly
to reassure him.
Yes, and to get a sense of
Okay.
if there was any sort of like social circle or something that she was working in.
Okay.
So if
Why
that
don't
makes any
you-
sense, like friends and that kind of.
This seems like charisma and empathy.
Okay. Do I have those things? I have no idea. Well, I have charisma. And let's see here. Empathy. Yes, I will attempt that. But I gotta do another die. So. 1. Oops, the wrong kind. Delete it. I'm an idiot.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so there's that one. And then these are. I'm re-rolling the 3 below it.
Okay.
So I end up with 11 plus 5 is 16 plus 6.
All
so
right.
22.
So I'm going to give you 3 questions. What's your first question?
Essentially, I want to get to, did she, like, when did she have her tattoo? Were there other friends of hers who had it, or that sort of thing? And where had she been spending her time lately?
So let's start with that tattoo question, and I'll let you do a
Okay.
couple of follow-ups. Okay. So he will say she's had that. We had so many arguments about that. My wife and I, it's such a. In my day, that was a sign of a yakuza, and you didn't do that kind of thing, and just you didn't. But these kids these days, everybody wants it, and she worked weekends for months to save up for it, and then she went and bought it fancy, programmable. She could change it around. She used to have the app that she had with it to reconfigure so that she could change it around, and she would download new designs, and she would go and go to designer places to get new patterns, and they would shop and trade. She's had that for a year, but that's all she's talked about for a year.
Really? So what? And she goes, so where was she getting her new ones recently?
I don't know. There is a place, since there are people that do apparently real ink.
Real ink. Okay.
But the people that do, like she had, there's a tattoo parlor, and he does the air quotes, where the tattoo artists virtually draw, and they exchange, and kids do designs and things like that.
So you telling me about where this place is?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And it, throughout this, I do kind of get him to talk about the good things and the good about that. But do I get a sense of, did she have other friends that did this as well?
Yeah. Here, I'll give you this. The last follow up is that, yeah, she clearly had other friends, like in her group, who had spent their money to get these tattoos, and that this was the cool thing to do.
All right.
One of the things, of course, is that the changeable tattoos are good because they could hide them then when they went to school. So, otherwise that would not fly.
All right.
And let me ask you then, Naoki, while Makoto has this father engaged in conversation, what do you want to do?
You said so the father was not the person sobbing, correct?
No, clearly the family lives here. They have an upstairs, and you hear like the mother must be in the back, like storeroom right now.
Okay, so I think Naoki will go to the back respectfully, not creepingly, not trying to be a creeper, but going back to to offer condolences and make sure that she's okay.
Okay.
While looking around, of course, to see if there's anything that might jump out at him.
Do you want to try and get upstairs into their house?
Is that where she is?
No, she's in the back storeroom.
No, I don't.
You could check.
No, I think he's gonna. I mean, he's trying to be a good person. I think, right? Or
Okay.
are we really noir? If we're noir, then yeah, I'll go for it. But
You tell me how noir you are.
Well, Sherry's got the guy distracted, so this is sort of a golden opportunity, isn't it? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go sneaking up.
Absolutely. Why don't you make a dexterity? That's 2d6 for you. You may not know that.
Really?
Plus sneaking.
Plus sneaking, which let's see, is that one? Oh, I have mastery.
You're a master.
Yeah, I know. So that means one of your rolled die may explode. Wait, what does that mean?
You're 5s.
5s. Oh, okay. Okay.
And you could roll all 4s, and that would be awesome.
No, it wouldn't. Don't lie to me. I'm on to you. Oh man, it's doing that funny pop-up thing where it's trying to tell me what to do.
Like pop-up video?
No, that worked out well. Wow.
Yeah, 2 6s.
I'm not sure how that happened. It actually flipped twice for some reason. I guess there was a huge delay. But yeah, I got double 6s.
Okay. Double 6s, which means that's 12, and you get to roll again.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we even need to. I think on boxcars plus your 6 means you're already at a standing 18 before we even go further. So on screen,
Yeah.
what do we see?
But it'd be cool. Maybe I walk through walls or something. I'm joking.
How sneaky are you?
I'm picturing that this is, like managing to like hop a stairway rail or something like that, absolutely silently, and crawl up on my hands and knees, like, moving very smoothly without creaking any boards. And just as somebody might be looking, like he hears the mother stop crying for a minute, because maybe she's sensing something, and he pauses and is hanging in a very awkward position. And then he gets up the rest of the way and gets into the room.
And you will move up. There are a couple of rooms up here, and you'll carefully open the door. And if you've seen The Ring, there's that moment early on when the protagonist goes into the girl's room of the dead young woman, and it's like that. All the kind of classic decorations of a Japanese girl just graduated from high school, just going into figure out about college, all the kinds of decorations there, little pads and things, clothing, all the little fixtures of new wave stuff that you're a little out of touch with as a 40-year-old, or close to 40. But it's that. What do you want to?
This is not right. She's hiding something.
You want to toss the room?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it quietly.
And you can, okay. And I'll say with your magnificent roll, there's no question you won't be heard. But let's have you roll searching plus intelligence.
Okay, searching plus intelligence. So I roll 2 for intelligence, and searching is going to give me a +3, and I have no funky bonuses there, unfortunately.
No,
But maybe I'll get lucky and roll a 6. Yeah, no, not going to happen. And what happens with a 5?
5 is fine. 4s are the ones you don't want to have.
Okay. So I got a 7 + 3, 10.
Okay. So what is the primary thing you want to learn here from going through the room?
I want to try and see if, well, I should have gotten this already from social media, but so friends, so maybe find a tablet or a laptop that I can get access to or get into, to try and, I want to see her calendar, where she's been, try and figure out where this tattoo place is or anything like that, anything that might connect with this. But there's got to be a secret stash somewhere because this is just too clean.
So here is, let me, you will kind of pull this up. You get her social media. You'll clone her network of contacts and all of that. You get that downloaded onto ELO. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And the other thing you'll notice in her like searches, I mean, you kind of run the search history, all of that. Going back a ways, a lot of it is, looking about entertainments and all that stuff, and maybe looking for part-time jobs. Doesn't work in a fish place all of her life, and college applications and a lot of stuff about that tattoos. She clearly is very into that and the designs and things. But then there's a set of searches over the last few days, essentially of WebMD searches for fever and sleeplessness and lots of stuff on skin rashes and itchings, and how there might be an interaction between nano tattoos and skin things. There's a lot of that, and then the last ones are essentially some stuff on chemically induced nightmares and things, like some stuff for psychological meds and things. And it's several days of kind of her clearly something happening to her and her starting to freak out. But not saying anything to her parents or her friends, but you see all of that evidence of that line, that history in the tablet there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I imagine that at some point he's probably going to see some like personal message to a friend of hers that's showing that she's scared and that she doesn't know what's happening, but this can't be good, and she doesn't know how to turn to. And at that moment, I think he'll probably, his eyes will tear up, and he's going to be upset, and then he's going to put it down and wipe his eyes and get up and go back downstairs.
And again, you're so silent. You've intruded on their grief. You've walked through their home without their permission.
I'm horrible.
And yet you managed to walk out of it just as Malco is kind of probably getting this guy. He's probably at that point where he needs to break down as well. And the two of you can take your leave.
Sure.
That seem fair?
Yeah, and I'll draw a ward against hungry ghosts on their on the store door frame.
What do you draw it with?
Well, of course, I have the marker for putting the names on the pizza boxes, so it's
okay.
I was going to say a Sharpie, right?
But it's a big fat one,
Okay, so in a big fat Sharpie, you put this mystical symbol on their door before you leave.
It's permanent.
Yes. Has that wonderful alcohol smell to it as you pull that out. Okay. So we'll assume that you, the three of you can meet back together and share info. And what do you guys want to, where do you want to go next?
So from all this information, do we know where the tattoos were done?
We know that there's that store, right? That one
the
parlor.
Yep.
Okay. And we have a sense of basically how the design looks, so we can go and ask about that.
Okay.
Actually,
That
and we
seems
can even
good,
go
yeah.
before they open up, because if it's like sort of a popular design or something that people have been buying, they might be displaying it in their window or something akin to that.
Interesting. This seems like a good place for us to stop, if you guys don't mind. Like a good break point where we can take up with you following up on the tattoo parlor and those things next time. Is that okay?
That sounds fun.
That worked.
Let me give you an opportunity if there's any, let me do one. Is there anything else you want to say or ask about or describe for your character, Makoto, before we finish up here?
No, I've had more than my fair share of time. Thank you.
Okay. Well, what about you, Naoki?
I'm good. I think I've stolen the spotlight enough also.
Okay.
The only thing is, I wish I've got my camera off, so you didn't see me making the gestures as I was crawling up quietly up the stairs and all that. I did all that. I realized, damn, they didn't see any of that.
Pantomime. What about Kiyosuke?
No.
Yosuke.
Good.
Okay. Well, we'll stop there and we'll start out. We'll jump right in next time and get rolling on this and finish out this investigation. And we'll do roses and thorns at the end of the next session. So I'm going to stop the broadcast.